Sure.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome back. Welcome to anyone that's not been with us yet. It's lovely to see some familiar faces and some fresh faces too, of course. So I'm thrilled to bits this morning that Tania is joining us. I've been on Tania's mailing list for a little while. I'm one of those lurkers. She probably doesn't even know I'm there, but I'm one of those lurkers on her mailing list that, oh, what's Tania got to say this week? And I really love to hear her sharing about kind of the body and specifically she talks often to the female body, the perimenopause and the menopause, and a real kind of understanding of how natural and acceptable that is in a world where it often feels like we get a lot of messages to say that we should be frightened of that kind of period in our life. So I'm really, really pleased that Tania's here to talk about the brilliance of the body. And if you've not been with us at all yet, or even if you have, it's nice to be reminded that this summit sits as part of our annual in-person conference that we hold in March in North Devon. So if you want to know more about that, I will pop some information in the chat during the break in a little bit, so you can have a look, find out, ask us any questions. It's a beautiful 3-day event, and if you enjoy these 3 days, you will love the conference because we just get together and just spend time in love and in conversation and in connection. So do find out a bit more about that or ask any questions. It will be wonderful to see you there. Quite a few of you, I'm looking around, have already got your tickets, so that's exciting. And with what we'll do today over this time together is I will hand over to Deb and Tania now, and they will speak for about 40 minutes. Then we take a 5-minute comfort break, and then we come back and there's an opportunity to ask questions or comments interaction for about sort of 20-25 minutes, and we'll aim to finish by 11:15 UK time. So Deb, Tania, all yours.
Ooh, hello, hello, hello. I am really excited to be here speaking to Tania. I love the work that she does. I love my experience of childbirth and breastfeeding and menopause and all of that. That was the one area in my life where I actually did incredibly well. I trusted my body totally. I mean, there were so many areas in my life where I messed up and I didn't trust anything. But I really, really, really trusted my body with my babies. I was great with my babies and all of that kind of thing. And seeing people, knowing how I struggled in other areas and how hard that was, seeing people find this hard when I could see what could happen if we could trust. Just, it was like, oh. And so hearing the way that Tania speaks, hearing the way, the place that she points us to really brings me great joy. I love it. And you're right, Lucy, even our toes are absolutely amazing. Every part of our body is just totally, I'm a little bit in awe of our entire bodies and the amazing things that they can do. So I am really excited today. I was lucky enough to get to meet Tania in person at Viva this year. It was really, really great to be there with her, to hug her and to hear her speak there. So I'm really excited to bring her to all of you people. And if you've heard her before or not, she has an amazing way of sharing an amazing message. So Tania, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank
Tell us
you.
about our brilliant bodies.
Yeah, so I was really touched by what Deborah you shared at the beginning of the summit and about when you talked about how we can think of mind that we think about in the three principles, and perhaps we can replace that with God if that feels right, or with love. That also seems to work. And it's very interesting when we look at the three principles, and I understand, bless Sydney Banks, who shared the understanding and brought us all together to continue talking. And I perhaps I understand, like from the people who are around him, why they chose the word mind. But when we think of mind, we can understand it as this divine intelligence running through us, or as God, or as love. But because of the association with the word mind, I feel like it gets a little bit caught up there about the intelligence of God, the intelligence of life being up there, when actually the most amazing example of divine intelligence sits within our whole body. And it's so easy to forget that. It's so easy to forget that because we can experience symptoms that feel uncomfortable. We can be given a diagnosis that feels uncomfortable. We can listen to all kinds of messages out there that try and tell us that our body is designed to malfunction. And it feels like, well, where is this divine intelligence? Like, surely, maybe if I am a spark of God, but maybe it's sitting somewhere in my consciousness, but perhaps in my mind, but it's actually within your whole body. And when Deborah was talking about a commitment to love, and some people were, I don't know about the word commitment, perhaps I don't know about the word love, right? I thought that felt like freedom because it also felt like a commitment to truth. I realized that felt like a commitment to truth. And actually, when we really understand the workings of the body, it is God, it is love, and it is truth. The body tells us truth. The body acts from love, and the body is divinely powered. Now, like I said, we can argue with that, and that can feel so uncomfortable, right? If we're experiencing symptoms, because all we want is for the symptom to go away. But I ask you, are symptoms intelligent or are they stupid? Now, let's take an example, right? Let's say you ate something that was very toxic to your body, right? You thought you were having a nice meal in a restaurant, something was in there, did not agree with your body. So amazing, your body springs into action within hours, right? It's uncomfortable. You're running to the toilet. There's vomiting, there's diarrhea, there's all that going on, but it's actually brilliant, right? Because the body's saying there is something inside that needs to get out. And so the body springs into action. You have nothing to do, but like, if you don't want to create such a big mess, like get yourself to the bathroom, but you have nothing to do. The body knows how to do it. Right? Let's take another example. I go through my door and I sort of like hit my arm on the door frame. I get a bruise. Right? Now, we've all grown up knowing what a bruise is, but if we had no idea, we could say, I've got a bruise disease. What do I need? I've got a bruise disease. Right? But actually, what's going on with the bruise? The body is creating an environment to heal what was hit. We don't have to do anything. The body knows what is needed to heal the area, and it just happens. And so perhaps we can look at these very violent almost symptoms that we could get from food poisoning, or the gentler symptoms perhaps that we get when we are bruised. And we could say, okay, perhaps that's intelligent, but surely these symptoms are not intelligent. Well, why? Where does God end in your body? Where does love end in your body? Where does the truth end in your body? And I've been exploring this for 10 years within the three principles and years before within sort of like investigating natural health. And I don't see that there are any limits. But for our thinking, that there are. Because it would be impossible for God to operate your heart, your lungs, your eyes, your ears, and you don't have to do anything about that. That just happens. That's just divinely powered. But then we come along and we say, no, but in this case, because it's so uncomfortable, there's something I need to do with my little mind and with those messages out there. I need to do because that symptom, surely that's malfunction. But how could it be? How could it be malfunction? Right? So those of you who know me a little bit, or maybe you've read my profile, you probably know that, I've come through I was able to heal my perimenopause symptoms over 10 years ago. Those were night sweats and 2 weeks of PMS, all the emotional and physical symptoms with that, and frequent migraines, etc. And through an insight alone, I was able to heal all of those symptoms within days. Modern medicine tells me that those symptoms were created because of my hormones that were out of balance. Why would God want my hormones out of balance at midlife? Why does that make any sense? Of course it doesn't. But what happens is that at midlife and at other times in our life, during adolescence, during pregnancy and postpartum, at midlife, and by the way, for men too, I do think they also have this sort of recalibration that occurs at midlife. We go through this sensitive time, and the body starts saying, I'm not going to tolerate this kind of mucking around in poor lifestyle anymore. Right? And so it can feel uncomfortable. And when I was over 10 years ago, taking the thought, which for me was, I'm not enough. I'm not enough because I was struggling with a little business. I'm not enough because my kids were young and I didn't feel like I was mothering them enough. And I was all the time jumping from my little business that didn't seem to be going the way I wanted it to motherhood. And I was like, oh, I'm not enough. I'm not enough. But surely I'm enough. But surely I'm enough. But surely if I do this and I say affirmations, then I'll feel enough. And all I needed to do was realize that that thought of I'm not enough, I didn't have to take it so seriously. And I saw that life would probably be easier if I didn't. And that had a profound impact and cleared up all my symptoms. And when we're experiencing symptoms, maybe we have that thought of, no, but it's my genetics, or it's a chemical imbalance, or no, it's my hormones, or no, but really, that doctor told me that I have this condition, and the doctor told me that it's for life, and the doctor told me, believe in your body, have a commitment to truth, have a commitment to love, have a commitment to God. What makes sense for you? And how does it feel? How does it feel when we hold on to those ideas of, no, I'm designed to malfunction. No, because my hormones, no, surely they don't act like Tanya's hormones. No, but my chemical imbalance, no, surely. No, you are part of God as I am part of God. Love flows through you as it flows through me. There's no limits. Your body is designed to heal. Of course it is. It makes no evolutionary sense if our bodies weren't designed to heal. Just because we see it and we can believe it when it's a little scab on our hand or a bruise or after a case of food poisoning or even after a flu, what we call the flu, right? We see that we bounce back. But like then there are other things that we think, no, but what's the intervention? What's my role? What if you could lean into the trust, into the truth, into love, into God? We are designed to heal, and all the time in our body, we are going between a sense of the body trying to heal what goes on, like the imbalance and the balance, the imbalance and the balance. That's the nature of the body. That's the nature of things. That's the way we're designed. And there are all these miracles. I mean, we were joking about the miracle of the little toe, but there are just so many millions of miracles going on in your body that you are not managing. Right? You're not managing the exact things that need to be in your saliva to digest your breakfast or whatever meal you've eaten. Right? But then we come and we think, yeah, but surely this thing I need to manage, or surely that thing I need to manage. Right? And surely I should trust the doctor more than God, which is within me. Now, I'm not saying that in emergency situations, like medicine is not a huge blessing. Yes, right? But emergency situations is not what's happening in our daily life normally. And in our daily life, Can we lean more into the divine within? Can we feel that we are taken care of? Because why wouldn't we be taken care of? It's a real thing if we can't see that we're not taken care of. It feels so real because then it feels all on us, right? If I feel that I'm not taken care of, then I need to deal with every symptom. I need to control every feeling. But the symptoms and the feelings, they are messages from God. They are messages of love. They are designed to encourage us back into balance. How can we get those messages from the body? The body, God, can't send us an email, can't send us a WhatsApp, right? How does the body communicate with us? Only through feelings and symptoms. It's the only way. And I know they can feel uncomfortable. And I know when I was experiencing all my perimenopause symptoms over 10 years ago, I know I just wanted the thing out there, that person, that treatment, that thing that will just make me feel like myself again. But I already had everything I needed inside. And I was lucky because, like Deborah, I also had this experience of experiencing real wonder, real miracles through natural childbirth and breastfeeding my babies. And so for me, when I had all those perimenopause symptoms, it didn't really make sense that my body would come to a certain point in life and then start malfunctioning. And then my hormones would start going in a wrong direction. They must be perfectly aligned for each stage in life, as our bodies are. Right? We can get caught up with everything we hear from outside about, you get to a certain age and then this happens and this happens. No, we get to a certain age, and if we listen in, our body is talking to us. Are you moving enough? Are you outside enough? Are you eating in a way that feels like love? Right? And are you lightening up? Are you enjoying life to the full? Because the body, God in the body, knows that that is what health needs. That's how we create and maintain health. To align with all those natural ways that feel good. And it's so interesting because I see time and time that people have, in their innocence, forgotten what good health feels like. Right? We're all the time out there looking for the expert to tell us, can you do this test? Can you tell me this? Can you tell me what level I'm at here? You know what healthy feels like. And if you're willing to lean into love, to lean into the divine within, you will hear if there is anything you can do as a co-creator of your health. So if we, come to a certain age and say, that's it, I'm sitting on the couch now a lot and I'm just going to be eating crisps every day and watching Netflix and that's what I'm going to do. Well, the divine in you is going to try and wake you up. And then you're going to say, oh no, but when I get off the couch just to go to the toilet, then my muscles ache and my knees ache. And the divine is sending you that pain to wake you up. It's not inevitable. It's telling you, perhaps get off the couch in a most loving way. And guess what? It forgives you. It doesn't hold it against you. It doesn't say, oh, because you spent all those years on the couch, I'm not going to let you come back to good health. No, it's instant. You feel it. the love. So it was really nice yesterday when we were talking about this sense of intuitive eating. It's intuitive everything, right? You can hear about this diet and this exercise routine and that exercise routine. Listen in. There's divine guidance in you. Maybe belly dancing is the thing for you to get you moving. Maybe it's Pilates. Maybe it's walking, right? And we have so many thoughts when we get these divine flashes of what could be right for me. Oh no, I don't know whether that's right. Tune in to the flavor of the feeling. Does it feel like love? Does it feel like possibility? I speak to a lot of women at midlife who said, well, I used to run marathons and now I just get the feeling I need to go for walks and not run marathons, but I feel so bad because X, Y, Z. The X, Y, Z, that's the made up bit. Listening to the body, what it needs. It's got all the divine wisdom to lead you in the right direction. And like I said, if we go off course and we think, oh no, I thought I needed to go to the gym 5 times a week, and now I'm feeling like, ah, listen to your body. The body knows, right? And if gym 5 times a week is what feels right to you, go for it. At midlife, I can say, a lot of women feel the need to slow down. We need to move, but slow down. Listen in. There's so much wisdom to guide you. And beware of replacing that godly wisdom with another force, with an expert, with the government, with the doctors, right? Listen in to the wisdom in you. That's what's there to guide you. Right. I'm looking at the time and I'm thinking, okay, we've got another 20 minutes to talk. Deborah, I'm going to ask you if you want to ask me anything about what I've said, so far.
Well, I am loving it, enjoying every second of it, and can see so many, it's bringing up so many things in my life that I remember going to a doctor with, I think it was actually my son, my youngest child, and saying there's something wrong with him. And luckily, I had an amazing doctor this time because he examined Josh and everything, looked all over him and said, no, I can't find anything. And then he said, tell me what you know as a mom. Tell me why you think there's something wrong with your child. And he was a great doctor because he said, look, if you think there's something wrong, I'm prepared to do a test or to do something to find something out because you know him and you have mom wisdom for him. And I was that was such a beautiful experience. And in everything that I'm hearing you say, it's like, it's not that I don't think you're against medication. I don't think you're against taking something if you need it, but it is that our wisdom tells us even that you need an extra little bit of help. You know, you've got to this stage. Maybe you need a stick when you're walking. Maybe you do need to slow down or sit down more, or maybe you do need to take something. But it is this this idea when you're saying beware of replacing your own inner wisdom with anything else, whatever that is. And it's that I really, really resonate and really love that. It's because I think your own wisdom will tell you if there is something more that you need.
Right. Yeah, I just to like expand on that point, it's what I've seen is that as a society, I mean, we had this conversation about should we be talking more about God? And that really like opened up something for me because as we like talk less about God talk less about divine wisdom, talk less about the divine spirit in our body, then we feel like, oh, well, if we're not talking about that, then it's all on me, right? The management of my health is all on me. And so if it's all on me, then surely I need the expert. And then the expert can come in and replace this. Well, it can't actually, but we think then the experts will replace God in me. No, there is infinite wisdom within. And that's so beautiful that that doctor could say, I want to listen to the wisdom in you. Like, where should we move? And yet, sometimes, I mean, I say this to women also around in the issue of HRT that, if you feel that you just cannot without, like, then just, you take what you need to take and listen in at the same time, right? Listen in because there's a reason why the symptoms are there, and it's not because of the hormones. The hormones creates the sensitivity, but our imbalance creates symptoms. So if we just say, "Oh, this is going to fix me," no. But what it can do sometimes, medication is if it can come in and allow us to come, like, turn down the volume of the symptoms just enough so that we can see something fresh.
Yes.
Right? Because if we're all the time like, I can't sleep and I'm doing this and I'm doing that, and I'm just like, then we can create this sort of spiral, especially when we don't sleep, because then we like it just puts the whole body out of balance. And it's very difficult to sort of come back into balance and then say, yeah, I'm listening to what I need from within. Right? So sometimes turning down the volume to then allow us to hear something fresh, that can be useful. It's not an inevitable path, but it can be useful for some. And the most important thing is, though, to lean in to the wisdom within. Because I've also had doctors say, like when my kids were young. So I also remember, like the first time my eldest was really sick with, fever and everything. It was like two and a half. He just gone into like nursery school thing for, mornings for the first time. And a few months later, he was really sick. And I was so lucky at the time that I had a doctor who was like, he's fine. He's absolutely fine. Right? Just, I'm going to call you every few days and I'm going to ask you how he is and he'll be fine. And it took 10 days. And, my little son, he lost a lot of weight and everything. But I so like trusted, okay. Like I didn't even know it at the time, but I was trusting his little body to just do what needed to be done. Right. And nothing was needed but that love and attention and listening to his guidance. He didn't really want to eat. Like, how brilliant that the body knew that he didn't need to eat because he was just overcoming whatever it was that he needed to overcome. And he came out and he started eating and started, gaining back the weight and everything like that. And I was so grateful for that doctor that did have a sort of more holistic approach and could totally trust that he was going to be okay. And I remember other doctors who were like, oh, your son has a little cough here. Go off and have an X-ray, and then you need antibiotics, and it's just like it's so easy to get caught up in that. Oh my God, I need the X-ray. And I remember when, like, it takes time to really step into that as a mother, to really start trusting. But I remember like the few times when I got caught up in that medical, like, oh, you need to do this, and I remember at the time I was like so uncomfortable, but I wasn't listening to myself. I wasn't coming back and really taking the time to listen to what could be right for us. What could be right for us in that moment? What could be right for my son or my daughter? Right? And it's such a shame and that more doctors aren't talking like the doctor I had when my son was sick first time and the doctor that you had who was saying, I'm going to listen to you as a mother because right? A beautiful connection between a mother, father, and their child, right? That we know. So, yeah.
And I do think, like the conversation we had, that the thing that I'm seeing is there is something, we are all aspects of the divine, and we see what we see. You know, we have guidance and we see what we see. And one of the things, it feels like God put an aspect into each one of us. He gave all of us something, and he didn't give any of us everything on purpose so that we could come together. It's literally like, oh, you have this piece and I have this piece, and you have this piece and I have this piece. Because we need that community and coming together and sharing and helping each other and trusting. But if we, I know in the conversation we had, it was like, if we forget that divine connection that we have, if we don't speak about it as what it is, I've looked back over my life and looked back over as I came across the principles and began to see something and began to see something deeper. And there's always been a thread for me of an understanding, in one sense, of who God is for me. And it is like, as I said, if we all have an aspect of the divine, so we all know something, it's like we are also connected to that which sees and knows everything. Love, God, truth. And if we try to live our life, if we cut that connection off, which, you know, in Jack Pransky's beautiful quote, all we are is peace, love, and wisdom, and the ability to create the illusion we're not. If we create the illusion that if that connection isn't there, and for whatever reason we think, oh yeah, this is how life works, so I can do it all now, I can do it, I can understand, it's like, you're going in the wrong direction. We need, and everything I'm hearing and what you're saying is that's that connection. If we stop listening to our bodies, if we stop listening to our intuition, if we stop listening to God speaking to us, we're missing the best expert on absolutely everything, to listen to someone else who just knows one tiny aspect of something, which sometimes that aspect sometimes can be useful, but it is worth remembering they just have one aspect to bring like you do. And we
Yeah.
have this connection to something that has it all.
Yes. Yes. I love the way that you've explained that. And also I want to, there might be people who are going, but you know, I really like going to acupuncture. I really like having a massage. So what are you telling me that, you know, that my body knows everything? No, like we are designed to also be in community. But there's a difference between thinking, oh, my health is dependent on acupuncture, and my health is dependent on having that massage every day or every week or something. And I am going to move with the divine calling that maybe says to me, oh, like maybe acupuncture could, you know, help on your journey. And that's, of course, totally fine. And the way that I see it is, of course, there are all these modalities in holistic health that can help us. And the way I see them working is that they help bring us back, let's say, into a certain frequency of healing. But if within we haven't understood what our role is in terms of helping us come back into balance, then any frequency of healing that's created by another modality is then shifted back to what we have, like our disharmony that we are creating in innocence, right? And it all comes back to our state of mind. Because when we're in a commitment to love, let's say, using Deborah's example, which I really do love, and when we're in a commitment to love, when we're in a commitment to truth in the body, to respecting God in the body, then we have more peace of mind. And everything on the physical level just becomes more obvious, right? So when we're in, like, that's our only, like I said, we're completely taken care of. And our responsibility of that understanding of our state of mind, right? So, it's only ever one step into awareness. right? That's the choice that we can take, that one step into awareness. And when we do that, life just becomes easier on the health journey, right? And it doesn't mean that, oh, I'm going to be in this perfect state of mind. I mean, when I had my insight over 10 years ago, my symptoms cleared up, and that was true for 9 months, right? But then something came in. It was something in my kids' school, and I started getting, like, all up in my head, and there were lots of emails and meetings and lots of stress, and my symptoms started coming back, and I felt like, oh, I'm, a fake, because I thought I understood something, right? But it was just like this temporary moment. And then I saw once again, oh, joy is my default, right? I saw a new insight, but that joy is my default, bringing me back into balance. And all my symptoms disappeared again. And so all it took was that one step into awareness again, right? And that is true for anyone on any journey with health, right? It's that leaning into awareness, being guided, really trusting. And it makes such a difference. I mean, there are days when I can feel, it doesn't happen that often, but like there are days that I can feel under the weather. Like yesterday was a day I'd had a few like crazy nights, early mornings, etc. Things had been going on. And I just felt really early in the evening, oh, I just need to go to sleep. Actually, I was on the call last night and it was like later for where I am. So it's just like, oh, I just really need to crawl into bed. Right. Now, in my old self, I could say, oh yeah, but look at the state of the kitchen, and perhaps there's washing to fold, and perhaps this, and maybe it's just too early, and the kids aren't yet in. I mean, my kids are late teens and one in 20s, but it's just like, you could think of all kinds of reasons why you couldn't allow yourself that. But these days, it's so clear. It's so clear. Follow the guidance. It's love. That is love. That is a commitment to love. That is a commitment to truth. That is a commitment to God. However, those words make sense for you, right? And follow that. And it's so gorgeous when you can just relax into that, right? Because there's nothing else needed. I'm one step away from that awareness. I'm one step away from listening in and following guidance. And that just makes anything that you're experiencing so much simpler, right? Because there's no struggle of, oh yeah, but what if, what? No, just listen in, step into that guidance. Your body is brilliant, right? Because that is the way that it's designed. We're not designed for malfunction, but we are designed to heal. In our innocence, when we fall off the path of good health, like I said, there's no blame, there's no fault, there's no retribution, none of it. It's not, I know a lot of women come to midlife and they're like, my body's betraying me. No, it's really not. It's loving you. It's designed to love you. It's designed to help you back to a path of love and harmony and good health. And thank goodness that it's not more complicated than listening in to the gentle guidance that will help us back home to good health. Okay, yellow hand up.
Tania, that was so perfect. Thank you. I really enjoyed that. I really heard something in the listening in. It's a beautiful, beautiful reminder for me. So we'll take a 5-minute comfort break now, and we'll be back at 45 minutes past the hour, and then we'll have opportunity for questions, comments, and interactions.
Yes, looking forward to that.
Okay. Wonderful. See you all in 5. Again. Welcome back, everybody. It's lovely to see you again. I hope you had a good comfort break and are nice and refreshed, ready for lots of questions and thoughts to share with Tania, hopefully. So you are very welcome to pop up either your electronic hand or your real hand. Leanna's straight in, fantastic. Just before we come to you, Leanna, Tania, I just wanted you to share, you've shared a very generous gift for people to access your book on audio. So do you want to share just about that?
Yes,
I'll
yes.
pop something in the chat.
Yes, so this year I was able to get my book out. It's The Wiser Woman's Guide to Perimenopause and Menopause, which brings together 3 principles understanding for women going through this transformation at midlife. And I was able to get it out in an audiobook, and I do have some special vouchers from Spotify. So the book is available all places where you would normally buy books, and Spotify, if you have a subscription, you can also get it there, but I can also give you a voucher. If you're in a country where Spotify offers books, then I can give you a voucher to get it for free. So Beck will put in the chat a link to a place on my website where you just fill in your name and email address, and then I get the voucher to you. It's not automatic because I don't have a system. The vouchers are numbered, so I have to send them one by one. So it's not a universal voucher, it's one by one. So I am happy to do that. If you would like the book, or if you know someone who would appreciate the book, then that would be great. And yeah, and just a little favor also, I want to push, like if you found this talk useful, just also let me know in the chat or something, and I would love to, just put it out on social media and stuff, and maybe people will come in for the recording. So that would be great. It's just to put in a few recommendations, testimonials. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay, lovely.
That's
So,
perfect.
yes,
Leanna,
Leanna,
do you want
yes.
to mute?
Hey, Tania and everyone. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom. And I'd already decided I was going to do a bit of stretching this morning throughout this talk, so that felt very appropriate. I found that yoga and moving my body has been so great for me to really get into that kind of felt sense of what I need. And just to mention that, and Rani touched upon this yesterday, that my journey's been quite an intense one in terms of my mental, emotional, physical well-being. I had like a really powerful awakening when I was 21. I call it an awakening experience. Unfortunately, it got pathologized and medicalized, and by the time I was 23, I'd had a couple of hospital admissions, and then I got a diagnosis. And the way that was delivered, felt incredibly limiting and scary. And coming from a doctor, a medical professional, and basically I was told, you have a severe and enduring mental health problem, you'll be on medication for the rest of your life, rethink your life's priorities. It's like, whoa. And luckily, me being me and being quite stubborn, I guess, was like, no, that doesn't sound like the reality I want to create for myself in my life. I'm not going to buy into this. So I actually went completely the opposite direction in terms of, just rejected the medical model. And, all these years later, I'm now 44, and, it's been a really bumpy ride. And I've had 13 hospital admissions in total. However, I don't regret that choice in the slightest, because I feel like coming through those challenges, it's given me a lot of strength. It's also given me a lot of motivation to look into my own healing journey and to dive into lots of different things which support me and help me along my pathway. So I just wanted to kind of just say thank you for you sharing what you've shared today. And just I guess I'm just here kind of receiving that, and receiving the affirmation of that we can trust our own bodies, we can trust our own understandings of ourselves. And I love what you said about symptoms being signals and messages, and that's something that I've believed for a long time.
Yeah. It's thank you for that. And it's if we really come back to that sense of there is no limit to the brilliance of my body, right? It can't ever stop. It makes such a difference when we come up against any kind of symptom, right? Because if we have that grounding in, like, I'm not managing my body, like that's managed by God. If we have that grounding, it's a real trust in whatever is coming up, right? Even, I've heard Dr. Bill Pettit talk about the intelligence of a psychotic break, right? That it's just the body saying, okay, this path of whatever was going on in the mind, right? That's not going to get us into a healthier place. And so then comes the psychotic break. But medicine says, oh, that's like a massive chemical imbalance that we need to medicalize and blah, 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 right? When, the person may need obviously support in that state. And I don't know what you had on your journey. I'm not suggesting that, any of this were your symptoms. But even I'm like Bill Pettit can say, there's intelligence in the psychotic break. And that's just an example of the innate health within us is unlimited, right? And imagine if the whole of medicine could see that every symptom, there's intelligence behind it. There's always a move to bring us back into balance. But then when we intervene in a toxic way, which is usually the medical intervention way, then while the body's trying to do this, like we can just like in innocence be adding more toxic ingredients to the situation, and it just sends the body even like more out of balance. So, but again, it's that returning to the basic grounding of that we can commit to love, to truth, to God within our body. It's a game changer. It really is. Yeah. Leanna.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with that. And I have absolutely no doubts that my soul chose this pathway in this lifetime because I had a lot to learn. And also, I've got a lot to teach and share. And now, having, touch wood, reached a place, I believe, of more balance and stability than I've ever had, which, remains to be seen. But, I feel like a lot of the work I've been doing, with Rani and with the three principles, that's just, it's kind of confirmed what I felt like I knew all along, which was that I had that intuitive wisdom of what I needed. I just didn't have the tools to express that very well. And the way that was responded to, I feel perpetuated the whole cycle, like you said, of adding in more toxic elements, which then sort of puts the lid on and represses. And that, so the other thing I wanted to share was I don't believe there's any going back. I feel like once we get into that mushy chrysalis kind of state, the only way is to break through and break out of that into a new way of living and being. And that unfortunately the medical model often wants us to go back to a perceived normal that actually wasn't working for us. It wasn't our truth, for whatever reason. That in itself was a toxic state to be in. So that kind of rebalancing of our system is kind of showing the way to emerge out into our next stage of life. And that's what I really want to share with like the medical system. I've been working now as an expert by experience down in Devon for several years, kind of gently incrementally kind of sharing what I can about my own learnings, and also supporting just positive paradigm shifts.
Yeah, wonderful.
I think is happening.
Yeah, it's definitely happening. And certainly, like in the mental health space, there are now more and more professionals being brave and coming out and saying, wait a minute, we've created this whole psychiatric system that is not supporting human health by any means. And yeah, so luckily things are moving and changing. That's really lucky.
Yeah, and creating a system that supports healing pathways rather than repressing the body's natural symptoms and signs. And I feel like that's the only way to really serve health, true health.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you.
Thank you, Leanna. Anybody else with questions or interaction? Leanne, all yours if you can unmute.
Yeah, very similar name, Leanna. I just wanted to add, so I work with people and I introduced that idea. So I believe in not so much Louise Hay, the affirmation, but definitely looking at what it shows you. You know, when the body plays up with something, then I always like, what does it mean actually? What can I explore? Where am I getting out of balance? And it gives me some pointers. But I found that people actually are very open to that, but have never thought about that. So when you then say, like, oh, let's see what it means on emotional end. So you have the physical symptoms, but let's look. And then to explore, where does show that up in your life, for instance. Like yesterday, I was talking with Sam, and I had an insight because I listened to all the other speakers, and like the thyroid, which issue I have now is like it's about humility, so being put down. And then I'm like, where does that show up in my life? I'm like, yeah, I'm doing it all the time. You know, when I got so upset yesterday about that call, it were my thoughts made me upset, and my thoughts created that, feeling not in a box, or feeling, not ticking the boxes was all me. And I really saw like I'm doing it. So what would how could that maybe help me to get back into energy and into the symptoms I have? But it's so lovely to just see like, oh yeah, that's what I'm doing it so I can stop it. I don't need anybody else to do anything different. I just stopped doing it to myself. But it looked really real yesterday because it was so fresh. And today I'm like, yeah, I could just stop doing that. And I will most likely fall into it now and then because it's a well-practiced habit. But it's so refreshing. And I liked what you said today about that God connection. I didn't, I know with the love and with the trust, but that God bit, that the body is, God given and God, run by God, really, that gives it a more permission to actually back off and trying to do things and more listen and allow things to happen. So that adds a new layer where I can explore. Thank you very much.
Wonderful, Leanne, wonderful. And I just want to add such an important word like innocent. We innocently do that to ourselves, right? And we innocently get into these spirals of, I should have done this, I should have done that. And it's all innocent. It's all so innocent. And that one step into awareness allows us to release that. And what you saw was, similar to my insight, 10 years ago, like, I have a choice. I have a choice about what thoughts I take seriously, and the fact that I can let them go. And seeing that choice is just amazing. And seeing that when I did take my thinking seriously, and I continue to take my thinking seriously, sometimes it's just like, that's just the human experience. But we do it innocently. And that we can have, I often say, I don't hand out techniques, but if you want one, choose compassion because that just is so helpful. Like we're doing it innocently. We forgot we were in stormy thinking. We were just out of sorts. And then we come back and and the feeling that we feel at that time is so helpful. So thank you, Leanne. Yes, Ellen.
Hello.
Hello.
So I don't know if I'm overthinking this what I'm going to say here, but I'll just give just a brief background. So before I branched out into all different, forms of understanding around God and understanding the divine energy in all of us, I was very much in the church. I had been very geared to that, 30 years in it. But I saw incredible miracles happen in the church. I saw when we'd pray for people, I watched blind eyes literally open in front of me, or when I would pray for other people with physical injuries, I would see them get up and walk. I saw some incredible things that, you can't discount. And then even in my own life, I've experienced various physical healings that have been astounding, like incredible. And now I look at, I may use the word God in different context than I did back then, but I still believe there is a principle to be seen here, that there is a divine energy that's within all of us. But where I hit some blocks with this, and I guess I'm trying to understand if it's the same type of implementation, was when dealing around trauma, issues with trauma in the body, related to abuse or related to all sorts of different areas. And I worked in the area of human trafficking when I was doing a lot of this work. And so I would, pray for people. I would do, pray for the girls, do all sorts of different things that I'd done before, but I would not see at all the results that I had been seeing around just other issues. And I mean, we're talking even cancer. I've watched cancer fade away, tumors, all sorts of things. But in this area alone, when it came to areas of abuse like this, I saw more of a process involved. Either they went through a process and found some areas of healing because they were dealing with physical trauma in their bodies, or I didn't see it happen at all. So my question to you, which is probably long-winded here, is do you implement the same type of principles that you would with, like, when you're talking about perimenopause or menopause in the areas of trauma as well? I don't know if I explained that right.
Yeah, no, that's fine. So I would say the principle is that we can lean into is the body is designed to heal, right?
Yes.
Apart from, like, we're in the world of the three principles with mind, thought, and consciousness. Within that, the body is designed to heal.
Yes.
So how that plays out has to be perfect for individuals, right? And it's hard for us when it's hard for us when we're looking at someone else's journey to say, oh, well, yeah, I would have expected, like if we put our expectations on someone else's journey, right, there's a kind of disconnect that's a bit hard to do, right? Because we don't know what the perfect path is for someone, right? But the healing takes place when there is the conditions for healing in the body. Otherwise, it cannot take place, right? It's like it's that intelligence. There's no part of it that can be separate, right? There's no part of the body or symptom or state that can be separate from a divine intelligence, right? So not a physical symptom, not trauma, right? The response that we call trauma is also intelligent.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But if the conditions of healing aren't ready, then like a transformation can't take place because it won't match. So I'm trying, like, what comes to mind, so I'll share it, is
Sure.
when I had when I birthed my first child, so I had a really a midwife deep in misunderstanding, and she was trying to hurry me along and cut me and and I was just like swearing at her to get out of my way. Right, and I'm doing this naturally, and my baby like came out with face up instead of face down, so that was like a more difficult birth, and she didn't realize it, and that's why she thought, and she was complaining that I was taking too long. And can you imagine like being a midwife, and she kept going out for cigarette smokes and cigarette breaks.
Oh my God.
Right, so all of this going on, but what happened was, like, in the birth, like as soon as I saw my baby, I was just so happy I forgot about all of that. But when I was pregnant again, it started to come back up, right? This idea of oh, but that happened in the first birth and she was really horrible and am I going to get another horrible midwife? And I even like wrote a letter to the hospital and I even got compensation for her behavior right around my first birth because I'd like paid more to have this private midwife in the room and she was so like not pleasant. But in the birth of my second child, I came to a point where I couldn't progress. It didn't matter. I had these lovely midwives and they were doing reflexology and I was moving around and I was like, using my voice and everything in natural birth and I could not progress. And then a midwife came into the room and she's like, you just need to go to sleep. And I was like, but am I allowed to go to sleep in birth? And she's like, you're exhausted. Go to sleep. Contractions slowed down. I was able to go to sleep for 3 hours. Then the contractions woke me up and I was able to give birth. And so you can we can look into that in all different ways, like what happened at that moment. But the way I saw it was I was still holding on to some like remembering of my first birth and what happened with the midwife and stuff. And I just needed to be in that calm state. I needed to come back into the calm state to allow that birth to progress. And then when I was in the state, the birth was able to move and then it moved really quickly. Right? So like we don't know. It's so difficult because we can't measure a person's level of trauma or where they are on the healing journey, right? But we just can trust that the path is right for them, right? And we can't impose a healing on someone if they're not
Absolutely.
right. They have to be in that
Yeah.
space
Mm-hmm.
to heal, right? Because otherwise it'd be like this, if we could impose something, it's like what medicine thinks it can do sometimes. Like, oh, we're going to give you this and it's going to make you do this and then everything. But the energy in the body is saying something else, right? So it doesn't make sense. I think that, the principle is the body's designed to heal and we're on the perfect path for each one of us. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that totally made sense. And thank you for what you said about you can't force something onto someone else, which is one of the reasons I left the church. But anyway, that's for a whole other story. But I totally agree with the fact that there has to be a readiness, like you said, for the individual
Right.
to come forward. Because I would have to say in my own life, the only way certain things have happened was because there was a readiness and there was like a desire for that to take place in my life genuinely. So yeah, it made perfect sense what you said. Thank you.
Right. Thank you. And what it also brings to mind is I know that some women hear what I say about perimenopause and menopause, and they think I am completely and utterly mad, and they hate what I share. They absolutely hate it, and they've gone on the HRT journey, which is fine. They've done where they are, and they absolutely hate when they hear me say what I say. They think I'm that I've got no compassion for them, and then a year later, this has happened like numerous times. Like a year later or 6 months later or something, they'll come back to me and they'll tell me, "Oh, I thought you were so mad, but now I see what you're saying." Right? So
Yes.
it didn't land for them, and it could have been like they could have heard me on a webinar with other women who were like, "Oh yeah, that makes so much sense," and they were like, "You are crazy." When they came into the right place, they could hear it, and then things could shift for them.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks.
Pleasure. Yes. Anyone else?
Thank you both. There's a couple of comments from Leanna in the chat. I'll just read those out and you can speak to those while we wait to see if there's any last questions. I had a question too about what happens when medical professionals go against our own natural intelligence and what we know for ourselves. Thank you for sharing the story about the midwife. And then she's also put, I can see I have trauma about hospital admissions, how to heal this. It's an ongoing journey for sure. And also seeing this in itself is a choice, and the thoughts we create equals if I think I'm ready, I'm ready. So there's that. Thank you.
Right. I'm just thinking if I see that Anne was also waving her hand to a woman. I had a question. Yeah, I think if we need to see a medical professional and we don't feel comfortable with what they're telling us. And we have that feeling of that's not right. Not a feeling of, oh, this person is, it's like, it's so clear. That's not right for me. We can just go and find another one, right? And we're allowed to do that because humans make mistakes. And even if that medical professional thinks that they're doing God's work even, right? If that doesn't feel right for you, you're allowed to go somewhere else. And that's a sort of a basic ethic in medicine. So I hope that helps. And wasn't it? Yeah, and about hospital admissions. Yeah, it's just again, it's so it sounds too simple, but it's trusting the feeling, right? The flavor of the feeling. If the feeling around anything, including a hospital admission, feels calm and loving, trust that. And if it doesn't, wait till you get to a place where something feels calm and loving, right? Because we can also make up all kinds of stories. And I just had this with one of my kids. Never mind, we had to do something in the medical system. And it's just, which I'm not, I try and avoid. So I had all these things. And we came and we met this nurse. And she was so lovely. And I was like, oh, that's just so lovely. She was just so lovely. And and I'd made up all these stories, but like the feeling was telling me I was just in la la land, right? Because I was like feeling so uncomfortable, just even like, oh, and then there was this lovely woman in front of me. And I was just like, wow, that's just so funny. So yeah, just we follow the feeling and we don't always have clarity, and that's okay. And it's okay. I don't know. Should I speak to that doctor? Should I not speak? I don't know. Wait till you have clarity. Wait till it feels clear. Obviously, it's emergency, and you need to go to hospital. Then that's something else. But if we're in that state, oh, I don't know. Wait for the clarity. You're allowed to wait for something clear to come up. So yes, Anne.
Yeah, Anne.
There were a few things, but first thing was when I qualified as a doctor, I was really glad that I'd finally got through it. But my main feeling was that it? Is that it? I really felt uncomfortable, and I didn't feel comfortable with anything that I'd learned. And I just wanted to go away and do something else. And which I didn't to begin with. And and even when I did keep going back to it, I was very alternative, and all the other doctors thought I was completely bonkers. And they used to send me the people they couldn't do anything with. and then I was I understood what Ellen was saying, because I then got into somehow or other got into energy healing, and used to have really good results, like you were saying. Used to have really good results with most people, but not with everyone. And so I sort of stopped doing it, because I used to think, well, if this doesn't work for everyone, then now it makes sense, like you've just explained. But at the time, I was like, I don't understand this. I don't understand why it works for some people and not for others. And also, I have a friend who I've just made recently, who was a pastor in the church, and really, like Ellen was saying, was doing big healings and seeing lots of really miraculous stuff happening, which I also did. And she didn't understand it, and she couldn't understand how that fitted in with. And now when I've spoken to her about in the same way that you're oh, that's how it works. that's what's going on. It's there all the time, right? Yeah. So thank you. It's it does all make much more sense now, I have to say. But I also have a lot of compassion for doctors who just were not taught that way. I mean, I think it's beginning to move that way, but it's not in the interests of the pharmaceutical industry for doctors to know this sort of thing. They're not going to make any money. So and doctors don't realize that. No, most doctors don't realize that. So, and most of them are miserable, I have to say. Most of the doctors I know wanted to get out of it and were miserable and were not happy doing what they were doing. Yeah. So
Yeah.
So what you said is what I wanted to hear, and what Bill Pettit has said was what I wanted to hear at medical school, and never did. So thank you.
Oh, thank you, Anne. I know I can say those things with the doctor in the house because I know you. I know you. I know what you think of the medical system. So yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think also in terms of healing, there are theories that talk about, the manifestation of physical symptoms as a result of emotional trauma or emotional imbalance or something, and it could be that when we have a symptom that expresses itself in an emotional way that we would call trauma or something like that, then perhaps we think, oh, it's more on me in my head to see something new. Rather, like in the physical symptoms, there's less understanding that the physical symptoms can arise from an emotional imbalance, but like people can kind of get detached from their bodies. And so when someone comes in and says, oh, I can heal that on your body, they may be in that state of like letting go and giving their body over to a healing energy, and really releasing and saying, oh, I don't have to be involved with this. And so that could also be, involved. It's hard to know because every individual, has a different energy state and etc. But that could be something about, the personal responsibility versus like really leaning into a divine energy of healing. Perhaps that just came to mind. Yes.
Wow.
And we've got a few more minutes. If just to repeat, like if you've enjoyed this and you would just be willing to write a few words, then I'd be happy to, promote the recording on social media. So like that would be great. Yeah.
Thank you. And you're welcome, to send that over to our inbox, so we can share that with Tania, of course. So I think that pretty much brings us to time, which is beautiful. Tania, that was really lovely. I really enjoyed that, and I can see from the faces that I can speak for us all. That was a beautiful, beautiful session. So thank you. We are back at 2 o'clock this afternoon with Jack Pransky, and he will be talking about listening deeply. So please do join us for that. If you're around, that would be wonderful to see you here again. And as mentioned, all recordings are out on Friday, and that will include details such as how to get hold of Tania's audiobook and so on. So thank you very much, everybody. It's been lovely to see you. Deb, I don't know if you've got any final words.
I just wanted to say thank you, a huge thank you to Tania. I have such respect for your work and what you do. Thank you. You did an amazing job. Brilliant.
Thank you.
Lovely to speak to you. I mean, we set up our life. We create these summits so that we can have the best fun with the best people. So thank you.
It works well.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you for playing our games with us. It's really great fun.
Thank you for inviting me to play. It's just a pleasure. I really admire your work too. So it's all wonderful. Thank you.
And look forward to seeing anyone who can join us at 2 o'clock. I'm sure that is going to be equally good in a very, very different way. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Everyone, see you
Bye.
soon. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.